whether you're a seasoned hiker or backpacker, or you're a gear junkie, or you're just someone who's really curious to know how people can survive for months on end on the trail, this video is for you. Today I'm going to cover the big three that hikers need to be comfortable and survive on the trail: my backpack, my sleeping system, and my shelter. I'm going to go over what I am taking on the Pacific Crest Trail with me in this video, talking about weights and comparisons to stuff I've used in the past, and I think you're going to find it interesting, so stay tuned.
There ain't nobody gonna do it for you. You got to find your own.
Hi friendlies, I'm Carolyn and welcome back to my RV life. In case you're new here, let me fill you in a little bit about what my channel is about. About 3.5 years ago, I sold everything and took my marketing consulting business remote and moved into an old RV and hit the road. I now live in national forests, public lands, so that I could be closer to nature. The goal was to hike more, travel more, without like pesky mortgage and rent payments. And I had an older dog up until about 7 months ago. I lost my buddy, and so I wasn't able to do as much hiking as I thought I would be able to do, and now I'm free to do the things that I've wanted to do, unfortunately. And I'm going to be hiking 1,000 miles on the Pacific Crest Trail this summer, and I'm taking my audience with me. So a lot of you have been with me for a while through the trials and tribulations of RV life, and even my grief and losing my dog, Capone, are now joining me on this next grand adventure. And I know I've got a lot of new subscribers, hikers and backpackers, so welcome. And today is all about the big three pieces of gear that I'm taking with me on the Pacific Crest Trail. So let's first talk about my new pack. I am so excited about this pack. Now, I've never really been a gram weenie. I am a little bit more on this trip. Again, for those of you who are new, I hiked 256 miles John Muir Trail Plus in 2015. I started at Cottonwood Pass and hiked north into Yosemite, including Mount Whitney. If you want to read about that journey, I'll put a link below alone on the dotCOM. And so this is my second big hike, and I learned so much. I actually didn't realize how much I learned until I started preparing for this trip, because I'm like kind of still learning now that I'm preparing. And one of the things I learned is weight matters. And so I am paring down my weight as much as possible. The John Muir Trail was really tough, and I was 5 years younger and about 20 pounds lighter, in much better shape. So I'm paying a lot more attention to weight on this trip than I did on the John Muir Trail. My highest weight with 10 days of food on the John Muir Trail was 42 pounds. I'm trying to knock 7 pounds off and never carry more than 35 pounds with a base weight I'm hoping of 20. So 30 is really what I should be hiking with most of the time. That's a big difference. And so that brings me to my new backpack. I hiked the John Muir Trail with an REI Flash 60, I think, and read the blog. I had some issues with that pack and decided that I was never wearing that pack on another trip again. So right after I got off the John Muir Trail, I went and bought another backpack, and I bought a Gregory Diva 60, and I love that pack. It's really comfortable. The most I've done in it actually is like 2 overnights. I haven't done a whole lot in it. But when I started really paring down my gear for this trip, and really I'm taking camera gear on this trip, so I have some extra weight that I didn't have before, I decided at nearly 5 pounds for the Diva, I think it's like 4 pounds 12 ounces, I decided I just couldn't do it. I couldn't justify carrying that much weight in my backpack. So I went ahead, after doing some research and listening to many of you on the Facebook groups and looking at Z-Packs and Gossamer Gear and a lot of the other ultralight backpacks, I decided to go with the Gossamer Gear Mariposa 60. And my Gregory 60 weighed nearly 5 pounds. This weighs 2 pounds. And it's got a lot of great qualities that I really like about it. The hip belt is actually more comfortable than I thought it would be, because the Gregory has super duper heavy duty hip belt on it. And I thought, wow, you know, this little thing isn't going to be very comfortable. Luckily right now I have enough padding. So it's plenty comfortable. You'll be able to see how this gear works for me as I travel the Pacific Crest Trail, because I will be doing videos. But I like how comfortable it is so far. I mean, even loaded, and I've had 30 pounds in it so far, even loaded, it just feels lighter. I know that makes no sense. 30 pounds is 30 pounds, but it just feels lighter. And the other thing I love about it is the giant pockets on the hip belt. On the Gregory that I had, I couldn't even fit my smaller cell phone, my Samsung Galaxy S7. I couldn't even fit easily. It was a lot of maneuvering to get it in the hip belt pocket. These are huge. It even holds my new Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. So both sides have really big pockets, and it's got the huge pockets on the outside, this one in the front. I didn't take my stuff off. It's got this water pocket on the side. It's got another pocket up here and another pocket. These pockets are huge here on the side. So these will be great for storing rain gear. They'll be great for storing the food that I'm going to be using on the trail. You know, if my tent gets wet, I'm thinking, and if it's raining, it'll be good out here. One of the other selling points for me that I thought was really cool, it's got this removable piece in the back. It does have a solid internal frame that's removable, and it's got this removable cushion. I'm not gonna take it all the way out. This egg crate cushion that keeps your back cooler because it's got divots in it, and you can also remove it and use it as a seat on the trail. You know, the open top, and you just fold it over and clasp it down to close the pack, and then it's got the zipper pouch on top as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting on the trail with this lightweight pack and letting you know how it works after 100, 200, 300, 500, 1,000 miles. I'll let you know how I feel about it. The nice thing too is you order the pack and the hip belt separately. So you can choose the size hip belt that you need. You choose this pack, the size pack that you need. I get small because I have a small torso. Actually, it might even be extra small. And then I think the medium hip belt. Hopefully this is small enough that when I start losing weight, I'll have enough give in the sides that I'll still be able to adjust it even if I lose weight. Although I probably have a good 10 inches there. I don't think I'll be losing that much weight. So yeah, that's Big 3 gear number 1, my Gossamer Mariposa backpack, weighing in at only 2 pounds. And my next big piece of gear is shelter. And on the John Muir Trail, I use the older version of the REI Quarter Dome 1. And I use that tent a lot of, I don't know how many years I had it. Many years, many nights in the backcountry, many backpacking trips. And sometime after the John Muir Trail, the zipper busted. And so this went on sale. Spider. And I had a dividend, and then I had like my 20% off REI member discount. I ended up getting it for less than $100. Now, when I first got it, I set it up and I wasn't thrilled about it. I didn't like the inside, how it felt. It felt a little claustrophobic. It's got one wall that just kind of goes straight down, and so it's very narrow in here, unlike the older version, which it felt roomier inside. I've now spent a couple nights in it and it's just fine. It's not like I spend a lot of time in the tent anyway, mostly sleeping, writing at night maybe. It's super easy to set up, and the best part is, even with the Rainfly, it weighs in at only 2 pounds, 10 ounces. And I know there are a million different ways to do shelter on through hikes. Some people only do hammocks, some people do tarps, some people don't do tents with Rainflies, they just do a tent that kind of has the built-in Rainfly, right? It doesn't have the mesh This has the, you see, it's got the mesh. I like having a mesh tent because if it's not super cold outside, I'll leave the rain fly off and I feel like I'm almost cowboy camping, and cowboy camping is sleeping outside with your sleeping bag and no tent. I wouldn't like not having the option to just go mesh and go without a rain fly. So I like having that option. So 2 pounds, 10 ounces for me is super light. And like I said, I know there's a lot of other ways that you can go that are a lot lighter. This is what works for me. I do like having shelter, you know, especially of course, going through Oregon and Washington, there's a good chance I'm gonna hit rain. And I did leave this set up out in the rain for like a week and it didn't have a single leak. I left my sleeping bag in here and everything was super dry. So I have full confidence that this is going to do really, really well on the trail. Weight of this tent is 2 pounds, 10 ounces. I've done a couple things to shave maybe an ounce off. One is I had 2 or 3 of these MSR carbon tent stakes and I switched those out for the ones that came with the tent. There might be like a ½ ounce difference in each one of these. So I don't know, maybe that's an ounce that I cut off. So I'm down to 2 pounds, 9 ounces. I know, I'm being a little gram weenie with this, but I had these anyway, so I figured why not switch them out. Cut off an ounce. That's an extra ounce of camera gear I can take, or not. The other thing that I did on the John Muir Trail that I am going to repeat is I didn't take the footprint to the tent. The footprint to this tent is about 7 ounces and you get just, you know, a square big enough, you know, for the tent footprint. Instead, what I did is I went with Tyvek. I bought I think it's 2 millimeter Tyvek on Amazon, and I ended up with a sheet that's probably triple the size of the footprint for less weight. I think this whole thing weighs about half of what the official footprint to this tent weighs. And you might ask why? Why bother? Well, there's a couple things. Number one, this is super soft. So it's nice to sit on. I mean, yeah, I now have the cushion on my backpack, but this is, I mean, I can sit in an Indian style, I can lay down, and this is super soft and super nice during the day on breaks and things like that. Tyvek is super strong, it's water resistant, it's breathable, so if I needed to, I could use it as a tarp. Let's say I did spring a leak in my tent or whatever, I could string this up and use it as a tarp. And one other thing that I'm going to be doing on this trip, I'm going to try it out, I'm going to see how it works. My rain pants weigh almost, I think like 13 ounces. And I was researching the other day lighter weight rain pants, and I saw rain skirts. And I thought, why not use my Tyvek? Because I was debating about taking rain pants anyway. My hiker pants dry so fast. I was thinking, you know, I probably don't really need rain pants. And then once I realized I can use this water resistant, super tough Tyvek sheet and tie it around my waist and use it as a rain skirt, I'm gonna try that, and that's gonna save me almost another pound on the rain pants that I'm not gonna have to carry. Of course, I'm gonna have my resupply friend, I'm gonna have them on hand. If this doesn't work, if it's a pain in the butt to hike that way, I will get my rain pants sent to me. The thing is, everything that I carry with me on the trail, I like to try to have multiple use. And the footprint is pretty small, and I don't know that I could really get a whole lot of use out of that. I couldn't use it as a tarp. It's not wide enough that it wouldn't go down to even my knees. I wouldn't be able to use it as a rain skirt. So I think the Tyvek, you know, I think the Tyvek is going to serve me well as it did on the John Muir Trail, and I didn't even use it for as much. The other thing I like about the Tyvek, you could do it with a footprint as well, is sometimes I do like to cowboy camp. Sometimes, I don't know, I just feel particularly safe and good, and I won't put up the tent. I'll just lay out yeah, this isn't blood, by the way. I stored it with a red magic marker, and it bled all over it, so it's not blood, it's red magic marker. But sometimes I like to cowboy camp, and the footprint is fine, you can use it, but it's really not very big, and so I slide right off a footprint. I mean, literally, it's just about as wide as my sleeping pad. This, I was able to, it's like 2 or 3 times as wide as my sleeping pad. So I could put everything, I could lay my backpack out on it, I could lay all my stuff out on it, and just kind of give myself a nice big footprint for cowboy camping. So I really like the idea of carrying a piece of Tyvek, and I only did the lightest one they have, 2mm, 3mm. I didn't need anything heavier than that. It's super lightweight, super versatile, and I'm gonna get multi-uses out of this. So that's my shelter. My REI Quarter Dome 110 at 2 pounds, 9 ounces. I got rid of it out, so 2.9 ounces with my Tyvek instead of the footprint. And that's my shelter. And that brings me to last but not least, number 3, my sleeping system. Okay, I sleep really cold, so it was really important to me to make sure I am not going to freeze my buns off on this trip. I had some pretty cold nights on the John Muir Trail, and most recently I went on an overnighter in the desert in, I think, January, and it got down to 32 degrees with my old gear, and I didn't get a drop of sleep. I was shivering all night, and so I recently upgraded my whole sleeping system. Let me tell you what I started with. My sleeping pad has always been the Therm-A-Rest Trail Light, I think is what it was called. And it was the super thin one, the self-inflating, the 3/4 length one. But after spending 26 days on the trail in the John Muir, Trail, I realized how important a good night's sleep is. I don't know, ever, maybe a couple nights, got a good night's sleep. But for the most part, it was pretty painful. I was either cold or the ground was hard because I could feel the ground through the pad. I was actually thinner then, and once I started losing weight, I could even feel my hips hitting against the ground, and it was super uncomfortable. And I decided I am not doing that again. So I went for this. Again, doing research and listening to a lot of experienced hikers and a lot of the forums, I decided to go with the Therm-A-Rest Neoair. The Therm-A-Rest Neoair. And there's a couple things I love about this. Number one, it's thicker. It's a lot thicker, and I can inflate it, of course, as much or as little as I want for comfort. The other thing that was a selling point for me is whereas the Therm-A-Rest Trail Light, I think it was, had an R value of 3.4. This has an R value of 3.9. And for those of you who don't know, R value has something to do with warmth, how it retains body heat. All I know is it has something to do with how it keeps you warm, and the higher the number, the better. So my old Therm-A-Rest had 3.4, this has 3.9. Another benefit that this has, especially the women's, so I went ahead and got the women's Therm-A-Rest in Neoair. You know, of course, most of the time I don't care if it's man or women's, like sleeping bag and stuff like that. Actually, men's is going to be roomier. So other than maybe weight, I wouldn't really care. But on this one, because women tend to sleep cooler than men, it's got an extra layer of reflective something for added warmth. So I'm really excited about this. Yeah, so it's got a higher R value. It's got an extra barrier for warmth. It's thicker, so it's going to be more comfortable and keep my achy bones and muscles off the ground. And it comes in at only 12 ounces, which is almost a full pound lighter than my old air mattress. So the old air mattress was smaller, it was thinner, and it was 1 pound 10 ounces, and this is only 12 ounces. So pretty big difference in weight there, so I am excited. I did hear that it's a little noisy. You can hear it, it kind of crinkles a lot. That could be interesting. But the thing is, you know, I'm gonna be on the trail for 3 months. I'm resupplying every 5 to 8 or 9 days. If something doesn't work, I can replace it. It's not the end of the world. And now, I also just bought a new Z-Packs sleeping bag. I am so excited about this sleeping bag. So the bag that I use, that I've been using for years and that I used on the John Muir Trail, was a Sierra Designs Zissou 12 sleeping bag. So 12 means you're supposed to be able to survive down to 12 degrees, and their comfort rating was 24. Well, like I said, I had been in 32 degree temperatures and literally froze my ass off. I froze. And so I debated that overnighter that I did in the desert where I was really cold. The bag was pretty light. It weighed 2 pounds, 7 ounces. And I debated, should I buy a new bag, which I really didn't want to do. I didn't want to have to keep buying gear. I was like, should I buy a new bag or should I just buy a liner? And I had looked into some liners, and with like a silk liner or a nylon liner that added, I think, 7 or 9 ounces, I could have improved the bag's warmth by 10 degrees, maybe 15 degrees. And so for the longest time, I thought, okay, well, that's the route I'm gonna go. I'll just carry my existing bag. It was a 700 fill bag. I'll carry that bag, get the liner. That'll put me at 2 pounds, 14 ounces. I'm still under 3 pounds. I'm like, okay, that's what I'll do. And I don't know what happened. One day I was like, you know, I'm just gonna start looking at sleeping bags again, just for shits and giggles. Why not? And I saw this and I fell in love. So this is the Z-Packs regular 5F bag. So it's a 5 degree bag. My old one was a 12 degree. I think it's 900 or 950 down fill instead of 700 fill, so it's got more fill per square inch than my other one had, and it's almost a pound. It's over a pound. It's a pound and 1 ounce lighter than my other one. So when I started looking around and started doing some research, and I was like, okay, well, with my Zissou at 2 pounds, 7 ounces, and then having to buy a liner and making that almost 3 pounds just to stay warm, you know, plus my sleeping pad. Or I can spend a little bit of money. I can get a 5 degree bag, which is going to be better anyway. It's going to keep me warmer in cooler weather anyway, and drop not only a pound from the weight of my bag, but also eliminating the need for a liner. So I basically dropped 2.5 pounds by buying a new bag and gained in at least 10-15 degrees, hopefully probably at least 20 degrees warmth. And so I thought that was well worth the investment. I slept with it in my bed inside the RV on a couple cool nights when it's been in the 30s, and it has been super warm. So it packs really compact. That's why so it's the Z-Packs, and that's why I go with down. There's always a debate. Do you want to go with down or do you want to go with synthetic fill? And I would rather go with synthetic fill because I try to keep everything plant-based, except on this trip, everything, yeah, that all went out the window because unfortunately, down is a lot more compact. It's easier to fit in your pack. I have a wonderful minus 25 degree bag. I think it's a Kelty that I've literally had for 30 years, I think. I still love that bag. It keeps me so warm, but it's synthetic, and it's like I can't even fit it in my backpack. It's so big and it doesn't compress. I just can't get it in my backpack. Not to mention it's probably about 5 pounds. And so down, even though you have to be really careful to not get it wet because it does lose its ability to keep you warm if it's wet. So you have to be really careful, and I'm a little nervous going through Washington. It could get really rainy, but you do have to be careful. So this won't keep you warm if it gets wet, where a synthetic bag will. But that just means keeping it in a waterproof bag when you're hiking, making sure your tent doesn't leak, making sure your shelter is going to be sturdy and stable and not have drips and things like that. And your down bag should be fine. I know most PCT hikers carry down just because of its compressibility and its lightweight. All right, that's my big 3. My shelter, my sleeping system, and my pack. I hope you got something out of that, and stay tuned because I'm going to be trail testing all of this stuff, so you're going to get to see how it actually performs on the trail while I hike 1,000 miles through Washington and Oregon. So stay tuned and subscribe if you already haven't, and I'll see you soon. In the meantime, be happy, be free, and be kind. Mwah. I'll see you soon.